It is nice to meet you on the path. This episode is called Settled Dust. And if you listen to the show, you probably know that for the most part, the whole is greater than the sum. So since it's very difficult to truly express ourselves, we tell stories. And we get more meaning out of this story than if you just skipped to the end and they tell you the moral of the story. It means more as a story. It's much deeper. So the main one that I wanted to get to, I will get to in a little bit. Let me start here. The other day, a couple weeks ago, I was teaching a class at White Pine. It's this awesome nature awareness school, wilderness survival school. And sometimes the Boy Scout troops will come in and spend some time there doing different things. This time, they got to choose what they wanted to do, so we're all in the yurt, and there's 30 some Boy Scouts, and there's brothers and sisters and moms and dads and everything. And the kids had choices. Do you want to build a fire? Do you want to do archery? Do you want to go foraging for the herbs that will be for the tea we're drinking later? Or do you want to go with Mr. Ryan and do wrestling games and roughhousing? And so he's calling, picking. And then there's a bunch of kids that are excited to go with me and do these games. Now, we're talking about, for the most part, like around 11, 12 years old. They vary some. So the first one I have starting out as a wrestling game, and where you're both in a push-up position, and you can move around, and you pull at the other person's arm to try to get them to either fall to their elbow or their knee or their chest, anything that hit besides their feet or their hands that touch the ground, they're out. It's really fun. And so the kids, they're excited. They're all going at it. There's a bunch of them, and the parents are getting involved too, and it's fun. And then I noticed a kid asked to go with another kid, and she refused. And I said, you can't refuse somebody if they want to fight you. And maybe I could have used a better word than fight, but you get the idea. Because why does that? And I don't even remember if it was another boy or another girl or a boy that asked her for a match. But why would one kid want to do this wrestling game with another? Think about it. Like, oh, I can beat him. Oh, I can beat her. I'm going after her because I'm going to beat her. You think it's like that? I don't think so. What do you think it's like? Oh, she can definitely beat me. I want to go against her and get beaten. That'll be fun. No, I don't think it's that either. I think one saw the other as fun and safe. But there's this little bit of danger. It is a wrestling game. You could clash heads. You could take a headbutt to the lips. Something bad could happen. It's pretty unlikely in this game, but it's your kids, they can cry, right? Things happen. So then they go at it, and it's fun. So that's a significant thing. They choose someone that's fun, probably a good match. They don't know which way it would go. Because whether you're doing martial arts, shooting pool, both things that I like to do a lot. It's really fun when you don't know who's going to win. Somebody's just like at the same skill level. Sometimes they beat you, sometimes you beat them. It's fun. I like going against people that are a lot better than me. I like teaching people that are not as good as me. It's all fun. But when you get that good match, it just, there's just something about it. Okay, so now we're talking about kids. So then some of the kids are kind of getting bored with that game, and they ask if they can go build fire or something else. I'm like, sure, do whatever you want. So a lot of the kids they drift off, and some are kind of like coming and going, and it ends up just being uh, this kid. I think he's like 12. He did karate, and so he was asking me about other kinds of things. And I'm talking to like some moms and stuff about why this is part of the whole thing, part of the curriculum. What does this have to do with nature skills? Well, it has a lot to do with it. I'm probably not going to get into that, but so I'm going up against this. So we start sumo wrestling. So I draw a circle with my foot in the mulch, and I'm going up against this 12-year-old. Of course, I could easily throw him out. But I don't. How much fun would that be for him? Okay. But if we can go at it, sometimes he beats me, sometimes which of course means I'm letting him win. I'm teaching him some skills, I'm teaching him some trips and ways to manipulate balance. Nothing too deep. But you have to let people win. They know that you're letting them win, but it makes it fun to play. And there's still that like element of danger, but safe. Okay. So some other kids see us sumo wrestling, and they come back from building the fires, and they come back from the whatever they're doing. The fire people could see us. We were in the same kind of section. So they come back, and there gets to be uh, like a few kids in the 3 kids in the circle, and I'm trying to explain how the game works. It's usually sumo is usually one-on-one. We can have like a battle royal thing. I've done those before with kids. It's fun. So these kids are 11, 12. I look over and there's this kid. He's maybe 6 or 7. So he's looking in the circle, and I was like, "Do you want in?" And he just shakes his head, "No." Okay, these kids are way bigger than him. It's getting rowdy. It's still fun, but he looked at that like these kids are a lot bigger. No, I don't want in there. He didn't say that, but he did shake his head no that he didn't want to go in. So I go over there to him, and I give him the direct transmission of the skills to win. Now, I've taught martial arts. I know lots of teachers that are a lot better than me. It's not that hard for me to find people that can beat me up. I'm not trying to like say I'm this great master. I'm not, but I've been doing it for a long time. I'm okay. But I tell him how to win. Now, I can tell you how to make millions of dollars in real estate. What you do is you buy low. You got to choose the right neighborhood. You buy low. You sell high. Make sure you don't put. Why aren't you making $1 million? Why haven't I made $1 million in real estate? Well, it's not that easy. I already told you how to do it though. So that means, but some people take that and they understand and they go and they do make the millions. And that's what this kid did. What I did was I told him to make sure you stay in the middle. And when you see 2 other boys locking up, push them both out at the same time. This would be pushing two boys out that are 4 years older than him or whatever out at the same time. And that's exactly what happened. The smallest kid goes in and starts clearing house. He's throwing dudes out left and right, and he becomes the man to beat. He didn't win every match. There was a whole bunch of matches. He didn't win every time, but it got to a point where like the big kids were like, they had to kind of agree they need to go after him first. It was not in any sort of bad way. This is like, but this kid, and I was like, I even asked, I was like, who do you guys think the best one is? And they point to him, and they're all pointing down at the little kid. How did that happen? How did this kid? And I'm throughout the matches, I'd go over to him and I'd whisper him just a little something. Here's two things. Here's one thing. Okay, I didn't get a sumo wrestling book out and read all 246 pages front to back. It probably wouldn't help at all. Here's two things. Stay in the middle. Two people walk up, push them both out. There's your master plan, and it worked. We got to refine that plan just a little bit, nothing much. Now, I can tell you that right now. Go win your sumo wrestling match. It might not work that way. This transmission of knowledge, skills, this direct download from the ancient ones can only happen when the time is right. And one teacher can repeat the same thing over and over and over and over again, which they all do. And then there'll be this moment where it clicks. So everything just aligns. So this little kid became pretty much the grand champion of this. The event ends. There's like the little closing ceremony thing out by the fire, and I turn around. We're having a meeting afterwards, and I turn around, and that boy that I was just talking about was going against a much bigger kid. It turned out to be his brother, and his dad was watching. And so I go over, and it was like a really good match. And I started talking to his dad for a minute. His dad was like, yeah, he taught his brother how to do it. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. And the kid can hear me. I was like, you teach people what you know, it'll make you even better. His brother was one of the like 11, 12-year-olds, so he's going against his much bigger brother. Was he going against his brother because he thought his brother would probably hurt him? His brother probably could. It's much bigger. If it came down to it, well, I don't know, because I gave him this direct transmission of martial arts mastery. But no, you can go against a brother. It's a little bit dangerous. It's exciting, but it's also safe. And part of it, why it's safe, is if one does hurt the other, they stop. And isn't that a beautiful thing? So you make each other stronger. So I'm not just talking about little kids in a sumo wrestling pit. I'm talking about how you choose your husband, your wife, your friends. When I go out with some of my friends, we'll go out to the woods, do some dangerous stuff. Sometimes we tell each other, we tell each other, hey, I think I'm going to try this. And they're like, no, you're not. No, that's dumb. But most of the time we're like, yes, you can do it. You can do it. But when we're picking our life partner as our wife, or you think, okay, this person will never give me any troubles. I'll wake up in the morning to the smell of coffee. She'll whisper gently when it's ready. Every day, year after year, she'll just tell me how funny, wonderful, hot I am. Well, we might get a little bit of that sometimes, but we also are going to undoubtedly contend with this person. How do you contend with your other? Let's look up the definition of contend, because this word is important. It's a very specific word. Contend.
Here's the definition of contend. Struggle to surmount a difficulty or danger.
Struggle to surmount a difficulty or danger. Example is she had to contend with his uncertain temper. It's kind of what I mean, but assert something as a position in an argument. He contends that the judge was wrong. So we get the idea, right? It's like somebody, yeah, you get the idea. You know what it means. Or if you don't, there's some definitions. But when it comes to these disagreements, just like in these sparring matches, in these, whether it's sumo or an argument over something in your relationship, are they going to stop when somebody gets hurt? And what do you do at that point? Do you keep going? Do you keep digging? Because that can be a total accident. You don't go into the sumo match thinking, well, some people would, but you get the metaphor here, analogy, or whatever it's called. You don't go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to hurt this person. Or if that is how this person is, you're better off finding someone else. When these kids ask another kid for a match, I didn't see anybody trying to hurt anybody. I saw kids that just liked having fun and getting rowdy with their friends, and they were picking people they thought would be fun and safe. Win or lose, it was still fun. So I have to be careful how I dance around what I say here, because this is the main point of the episode, what's brought me here. I recorded the last episode, better lighting. I don't like to have bright lights on me, but if I record during the day, it looks a lot better. But I'm recording at night like I normally do, and so interesting timing there. This friend of mine that I'm getting ready to talk about just sent me a message like just now. So I recorded a show. You might have heard it. I recorded it yesterday. And I was talking about something that happened with a friend. I won't even say what it is now, but I'm trying to. So this friend did something I thought I gotta be careful here. That's why I deleted the episode. So she did something that I thought was very inconsiderate. And I think I'll just leave it at that. So I did a show about it. I didn't say who I was talking about, but I did give I did say like a couple things, like where if a couple people that like know us and everything, they might be able to figure out who it was. And so I was, the point of it was to, at what is to, the point of the episode was to explore our thoughts when somebody does something to us, and is it something that we should just handle in our own mind, not bring it up, let it go, or is it something that we should bring up knowing that there's going to be contention. Is contention a word? There's going to be, yeah, it is, right? There's going to be some dust kicked up. Okay. So I had, when I was getting ready to do this show, I had the image in my mind of all this dust being kicked up into the air. This big fight happens, or this big explosion, or this big something happens, and this big storm, and there was all this dust in the air. And the dust might be, well, what is it when there's an explosion? It could be structures. It could be humans. It could be nature. It could be all of the stuff that the dust is made out of in the air, and it's clouding our vision. And all we can do is react as if we're in that situation, because we are in that situation. Now, then when the dust settles, we can still see a little bit more clear, but there was that storm. And in that dust are the structures, or is the stuff that was destroyed. Following me here? So I recorded the last show 3-4 days after this thing happened, where this friend did this thing that I thought was pretty rotten. And there are, if it was like somebody else that did it, depending on who it was, maybe it wouldn't even been that big of a deal. But it was because of who it was, the history, the stories, the stuff before it was turned to dust. What that was. The structure before it was turned to dust. So this thing affected me in a way that's like kind of rare for me. And even though on the show, this is show number 133, I kind of surprise myself with what I say sometimes. I used to be a guy that didn't say hardly anything. And I went back and forth with myself whether I was going to do that show or not. I was like, okay, I think I can do it, and nobody will know who I'm talking about. It's like only there might be a couple people that, very few people, if anybody in my mind, could put it together who I'm even talking about. And then this morning, I get a message from that friend, and she's not happy about the podcast. Okay. And I said, I think I did it, so nobody would be able to figure out who it was. The point wasn't the who. The point was what we do when these things happen, mainly. And I said, if you think that people can figure it out, I'll delete it. And she told me why she thought people could figure it out. I actually agreed with her and I deleted it. What I was saying on the show, to me, it was I wasn't lying. I wasn't trying to exaggerate. I wasn't trying to make someone specific look bad. The point of it was to express these thoughts because I know other people have these things happen. This is a pretty common thing. So uh, I deleted it. I started deleting it right away after she told me why. So one of the things that, and it's like weird for me to even say, I'm actually going to hit pause and read her message. Okay. Yeah, her message was I told her that I was going to be recording this show, and she told me I could call her later when I'm done. I told her what this show is going to be about, even though I didn't really have the full idea until I start letting it go. But anyways, part of what I guess bothered me so much about what happened, it's like who it was and kind of like our story. And then I didn't think she cared. And that's where I was wrong, because she does. I didn't think it was something that she would want to talk about, but she does. So now that the dust has pretty much settled, even if she sees the way the events happened differently than I do, I can accept that as long as she can accept mine also, I think. Or, well, actually, is that the best way? If we pull back a little bit farther from the dust. Because there's always dust in the air. There's always dust in the air. It's always getting kicked up. You can't move without kicking some dust up. Okay, that's a part of why um, there's that's why we can't have something perfect in life, because if something's perfect, then it couldn't move, and as soon as it moves, now we have duality. Okay, so uh, as long as we have duality, which there's nothing we can do about it, as long as we're doing something, we're going to be kicking dust in the air. We're going to be blinded by the dust. It's going to get in our eyes. Oh, it's frustrating. I can't see anything. Get the dust out. Oh, now I can see, and then it happens again. Right? It's perpetually happening. You know what else is strange? So we were supposed to talk. So I think I got the point out. One of the things that I thought like sucked so bad was her. I didn't think she cared, but she does, and she's willing to talk about it, which I didn't think she would be. So I was wrong about that. Um, and so I'll make this example. So she was supposed to. Um, she told me like this window of time she'd be available. I called her when I said I would. Went to voicemail, and I didn't hear back from her again for like 3 hours past that window. Then she calls and had like 10 minutes. Well, What happened was I just didn't get the call. She did try to call. I didn't get, because she thought that I just didn't answer. Okay, this is important. I'm talking about literally my phone and literally her phone, but it's more than that. It's I'm talking about like more than that. So she told me that she called, and I was like, "Oh, my phone didn't even ring." And she's like, "Well, I can send you the screenshots." I was like, "I believe you," but my phone didn't ring. And so later on, I sent her the screenshot of my call log where I did not get her call. She responds with a screenshot of hers where she tried to call. That happened before. I was with a girlfriend of mine, and we were kind of like going back and forth, like, okay, what are you doing tonight? I think it was even like maybe even on a Friday night or something. Um, and it's like almost assuming that we're doing something with each other, but like I wasn't sure if I just wanted to just like stay home or if I was gonna like drive to her house, which is like a half hour or so drive and all this. But I mean, that was probably what was going to happen, but I wasn't sure, and I was at work, and so she's texting me, and I get these messages when I'm done working, and so I responded to her message, um, yes, let's do something. Okay, so she sends me the message asking about doing something. I send her one back that says, "Sure, I can be there 7:30 or whatever it was." Then I get a message not long after that she's going to go hang out with this other friend of hers, happened to be a guy. I didn't think anything was going on with them. They're like friends for a long time. And I'm thinking like, what? So I was like, I just told you, you asked me if I wanted to hang out. I said yes. And then 10 minutes later, you're telling me you're going to go hang out with some other dude. And so we're getting in this, having this contention. Contention's a word, right? Let me check it. Contention.
Here's the definition of contention: heated disagreement.
Yeah. Okay. I did go to school for a little bit. So we're contending, right? So my version of events was like, man, she just did this. This is a pretty rotten thing to do. I just said we're going to do something. We're dating more than dating. We were together for like almost a year or something like that. And then afterwards, she tells me she's going to go hang with this other dude instead. What happened was we weren't getting the text in real time, but we didn't know that. So she's thinking it takes me forever to answer her when it's not. Or maybe it is because it's taken me forever to get her messages. So, like, she's telling me her version of the story, and I'm like, that is just not what happened. And I'm telling her how it is, and she's like, what are you talking about? And so I'm sending screenshots. I was like, this is, and so she sends me the screenshots, and it's like, oh, she thought that I just didn't respond to her. That's why she made other plans. And I thought I already we already made plans, and then you break them to go be with somebody, go hang out with some other dude. Okay, which brings me to my next point is when we choose these partners, whether they're friends, girlfriends, wives, husbands, whatever. The contention is inevitable. Okay, so even like use contention, it seems like even an exaggeration, um, because even with the girlfriend I was talking about, we're not like yelling at each other and stuff like that and calling names or anything. We can have like these disagreements where we're like, "What are you talking about?" It's like that's not what happened, and it gets. It's not like it's overall pretty, mature. But when we're picking these people, we need to remember why that we're picking them. Are they someone that fights fair? Are they trying to hurt you? And if we can keep that stuff in mind when the dust gets kicked up, then maybe we won't start swinging for the rafters, right? Maybe when the dust gets kicked up, it's a time to do our best to settle our minds down, let the dust settle. And even though in that settling is going to be the structures and whatever that storm blew in, as long as we don't just stomp on it, then we can rebuild, right? It's like, how do you know what's bad? Okay, I'll say like, oh, who's to say what's right and wrong? Here's how you can tell what's right or wrong. Do you want that done to you? If you don't, it's wrong. If you do, it's right. That's how we know what bad is. That's how we know what evil is. So even though you've probably never tortured somebody, you know how. How do you know how? Because you saw it on a movie? No, because you have feelings and you've felt pain, you've felt scrapes, you've been cut, you've smashed your finger. You know what that feels like. You've been poked in the eye. You know what that feels like. You've been hit in the nose. And that's how we know what hurts other people, because we know what hurts us. And when we have these people to contend with, these partners, whether it's a martial arts partner, life partner, wife partner, husband partner, we know there's going to be these matches. So when you're practicing martial arts, you can do it in a way that breaks people down, or you can do it in a way that builds people up. And sometimes you have to get hurt a little bit to build some resilience, but also to know what hurts other people. Well, I didn't know doing that would hurt until somebody did that to me. Okay, now I get it. So when I talk about this situation and throw it out to the whole world to listen to, and even though I thought I was being fair by not giving clues to who she was, a couple clues did come out. She did tell me that she believes that I didn't try to that I did try to keep her identity a secret. So that's good. It was like, would I want somebody to do that to me? No, I wouldn't. So it was deleted. Sometimes we gain our strength from these bouts, right? I'm looking for this Kroger brand thing. Sorry. So sorry, just a second. I hope I'm making sense here. I hope I'm not saying too much. With these deletes, let me find this thing first. There we go. Yeah, I'll look it up and then I turn right to it. I've deleted a few podcasts, and this one, when she was, after she told me she wasn't happy about me putting it out, I looked it up. Because when I was about to delete it, I looked at the statistics. It had already been heard in 5 countries, at least, probably even more than that. I don't know how many more it would have been, because the stats that I was looking at doesn't cover everything. And it wasn't like a crazy number. I mean, it was climbing and spreading, but it had been heard in like 5 different countries, a bunch of states in the U.S., and so even after I deleted it, it did go out, and now nope, it shouldn't be accessible to anybody anywhere. But I've done that before. Sometimes after the show had already, I did a show with that one girlfriend that I was talking about. I did a couple of them. We did one, and within like 15 minutes after we put it out, it had like getting close to 200 views on YouTube. Like it was like we must have just hit like right this like throw it in the river and it just takes off going, and it had all these views, and we were talking about very personal things, and I don't even want to get into why, but I ended up deleting that episode. I deleted another episode of this guest. Honestly, I don't even want to say who it is, but she's pretty famous. She has over a million YouTube followers, and let's just say we were talking very openly about very personal things. And I ended up deleting it. I deleted one because it was like terrible audio quality. There was another one with bad audio quality. Like the guest was in a noisy place, is what I mean. There was another one I did with where the guest was in a noisy place, and I let it stay on there because the importance of what she was talking about. So there hasn't been very many shows that I've deleted, and this is show 133, and I've deleted 1, 2, like 5. It's not too bad. So what's my point? So even though I've deleted it, it still went out. Okay, this episode shouldn't be accessible to anybody. A good example though, so that one of those episodes that I deleted with the past girlfriend that I did, I just happened to get, so usually SoundCloud, like to get, you have to pay for it after you reach a certain amount of data, and I don't do that. So my data filled up and I didn't bother paying for it. So I did a show though that was not very much data, a 20 minutes of me just playing guitar and singing. No offense to singers, what was coming out of my face, but playing guitar and singing. And it ended up getting uploaded to SoundCloud. There was room for that. Most of my shows are over an hour. And so, so I go on SoundCloud. Hadn't been on there since I started the show 20 months ago, probably. That episode with my girlfriend was on there, ex-girlfriend. I thought it was deleted from everywhere, but it wasn't. It didn't have all that many listens to it. It wasn't, I mean, it had some, but it wasn't a crazy amount. But it was still out there. So when we get this, when we want to have that take back, I want to take that back. I just put something out, now I want to take it back. I said something and now I want to erase it. It doesn't quite work that simply. It's like the episode I was talking about deleting from yesterday. It's gone from everywhere. I know it is. But it created more dust. And so it's cool that this friend wants to let the dust settle, help bring it down, talk things through. Last thing, I'm about to wrap it up here. This is how I started my previous show. So I'm going to end it with this one. And a youth said, "Speak to us of friendship." And he answered, saying, "Your friend is your needs answered. He is your field which you sow with love and reap with thanksgiving, and he is your board and your fireside. For you come to him with your hunger, and you seek him for peace. When your friend speaks his mind, you fear not the nay in your own mind, nor do you withhold the a. And when he is silent, your heart ceases not to listen to his heart." It's a good one. I'm going to repeat that. "And when he is silent, your heart ceases not to listen to his heart. For without words in friendship, all thoughts, all desires, all expectations are born and shared with joy that is unacclaimed. For when you part from your friend, you grieve not. For that which you love most in him may be clearer in his absence, as the mountain to the climber is clearer from the plain. And let there be no purpose in friendship save the deepening of the spirit. For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught." Okay, that one's, I've read this so many times, but this is one worth repeating too. I'm not sure I completely understand it. I'm trying to get a deeper understanding of this. "For love that seeks aught but the disclosure of its own mystery is not love but a net cast forth, and only the unprofitable is caught. And let your best be for your friend. If he must know the ebb of your tide, let him know its flood also. For what is your friend that you should seek him with hours to kill? Seek him always with hours to live." I really love that part. "For it is his to fill your need, but not your emptiness. And in the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things, the heart finds its morning. and is refreshed. I hope that worked. Thank you.